My last video, I compared AOC to Adolf Hitler, and it's really funny because it turns out her chief of staff, which is the brains behind her, is an admirer of the fascistic leader of India, who was good friends with Adolf Hitler. And there's a picture of him shaking Adolf Hitler's hand, so I guess I really hit the nail on the head on that one, didn't I? Hello everybody, and as I said in my previous video, a warning from Stefan Molyneux to everyone, something that I had figured out myself, that YouTube is just like Twitter's doing, just like Facebook does when they don't show your posts. They're unsubscribing people, and they're fiddling with even if you've got the bell rung. So please like, subscribe. If there aren't many likes, or there aren't many subs, or they decide to unsubscribe you and they keep unsubscribing you, a little a day, you lose your subscriptions. What happens is then that way you get pushed into the dead zone. But they want you there because the narrative that you're putting out is not their narrative. You are on the wrong side of the political spectrum. This is how they hide you. Instead of just taking your channel down, this is what they're doing. I suspected that months ago, and I informed a very famous YouTuber, and they didn't know what to make of it. I don't think they thought anything of it. But since Stefan Molyneux has come out and officially announced that this is what's happening, then I guess I was right. But then again, I'm always right. Here's something else that I'm right about. Look at this, look at this. Remember who this one is? Okay. First, I had her in the bathing suit because she was wearing a bathing suit that night. But I realized when I looked at this one, this is Crazy Blasey. Christine Blasey Ford, I call her Crazy Blasey. Anyway, Crazy Blasey, I mentioned in one of my videos about her that notice how she has bleach blonde hair. Well, not this one, but the real Crazy Blasey has bleach blonde hair, and she has beach friends. And it doesn't make any sense that she's a psychologist, has written 65 peer-reviewed papers, does some kind of psychological experiments at Stanford, and works out of Palo Alto, and she's got more than one home. PhD, that she's so accomplished, an accomplished psychologist who has to read cases over and over again about severe sexual abuse, severe abuse of any kind, but especially sexual abuse. And she has to listen day in and day out to people. If you're a psychologist, that's what. Then again, those who do, those who don't teach. So she does teach, so maybe she doesn't listen to any cases. But if you're a psychologist, you have to listen to these cases day in and day out, no matter how horrible they are. And you have to keep your composure, and you are there for the patient. That's who you're there for, your client. And you have to bring them to the present. You have to bring them to a still place. And she should have been taught these tools, and she herself was seeing a psychologist who, it sounds like, isn't teaching her these tools. So it made no sense to me that she was a psychologist, and I believe she was lying right from the get-go, because I'm an actual survivor, and to this day I'm still going through some stuff, but don't want to talk about that right now. And it's really like slamming people who really have gone through actual sexual abuse or rape and stuff like that. It really smacks us in the face and belittles our experience. Basically destroys our experience because of her non-experience. And I felt her being a bleach blonde that moved from the East Coast to the West Coast, yet flies all over the world to her little tropical places, but is afraid to fly in planes because of what Judge Kavanaugh actually didn't do to her. that this woman was an actress. This was an actress, and I said in one of my videos that I bet if you checked out where she got her degree in like a month before, see if there was a big donation from an anonymous person, and then they issue, after this big donation, her a fake diploma, basically, a fake thesis, you know, that she got her PhD from this place. All the colleges that she supposedly went to are fake. She's an actress. She clearly was an actress. And because there's no way, if she's 51, and that happened when she was 15. Interesting, you just totally reverse the numbers there. Saying, oh, I'll be 15. Okay, you're 51. Oh, okay, I'll be 15. But your neck looks like you're 150, which is another 5 and 1. That it was fake, that they actually brought her in and auditioned her for this role. I think her neck is fake too. Something about it doesn't even look real. But we just found out that Ocasio-Cortez, it's getting out there that she is also an actress. She also auditioned for this. It kind of makes sense. And then she forgets, when she looks really stupid, she forgets her lines. Well, I think she forgets her lines because she is really stupid. But the thing that makes it sound credible to me is because it started with Crazy Blasey. It started, clearly this woman is an actress. Clearly this woman is not a psychologist. There is no way would she get up and act like that if she were an accomplished psychologist, and she wouldn't even pay any heed. Something that happened to her when she was 15, a non-rape, that wouldn't even be an issue after she's heard actual cases of people who've actually been molested, raped in any way. As an adult, as an accomplished psychologist, she would put that away. She's healed from it. That wouldn't have been any, first of all, it wasn't even anything. And to sit there and lie and act while Judge Kavanaugh is in that room and you've destroyed his life, he and his family are getting death threats. His children are afraid. To sit there and lie and fake and having to do it in front of him, to destroy somebody's life like that, to make this man, when it came up that it was a case regarding abortion that was brought up before the Supreme Court, and he wouldn't even hear it. He's so afraid he won't even hear anything that has anything to do with killing babies at any point, even after they're born. He's scared out of his mind. You've destroyed this man. I mean, what kind of chutzpah, what kind of evil is inside you that you would do that and you would fake it? We know she faked it. This is a whole lie. Because if she was a real psychologist or she went through a real sexual assault, it would be a real sexual assault. What she said wasn't even a real, what the hell was it? A couple of drunk guys at a party that nobody remembers? But Ocasio-Cortez, it makes perfect sense that the Democrat Party, to get what they want done, to destroy this country, to take it over, one-party rule, they have been manipulating people for a long time. You know, you get all the women really angry. Donald Trump, that tape of Donald Trump saying, oh yeah, sure, you can stick your hand out and yeah, just grab her pussy. The guy's a comedian. I've said this before many times. The guy's a comedian. And Billy Bush is an idiot and he's bullshitting him. Men groups, famous people, have groupies. and the women are let into the room, and they're jumping up and down, and they're half naked, and they want the famous guy to reach out and do all sorts of, that's what they're there for. That's what he was talking about. Because the tape wasn't continuous, it was edited, that's what he was talking about. But he's also a jokester, okay? Just like he said to Ted Cruz, isn't that your father with Oswald? Looks like your father with Oswald. I mean, it's a joke. It's funny. Everybody took it serious, and everyone made him crude and cruel and awful. Because the other party is, the Democrat Party, the Socialist Party, is actually twisting and tweaking things, getting the women all upset that they're in the streets. We found after that they were all paid by George Soros. Those women's things were all paid by George Soros. These are staged events, basically. And there's a bunch of women who just go along with it, thinking that, oh, he's a Republican, he's going to take abortion away. We must go in the streets, and you must wear this pink pussy hat. You must wear this pink pussy. If you're going to go in the street, they're making, first of all, they're making fools out of them. And their leader is Linda Sarsour, a woman who heads or belongs to a religion that if a woman is raped, you know, she's basically wearing a body bag with slits for the eyes. She's raped, and she will be killed if she doesn't have 4 men that account for her honor. This is a woman who definitely wouldn't do this. Well, first of all, she's been through female genital mutilation. There's no way she desires sex at all whatsoever, because it's completely cut off, sewn up, no anesthesia. They hold them down, and their legs are bound for 12 weeks. Okay, so a woman like that wouldn't go out soliciting sex, but she has no choice but to be found out, because if she has been raped, then she's ripped open because she's sewn up, right? So the person who led this whole thing, and then you've got the other people who were for Louis Farrakhan, who said some awful things about the Jewish people, which I don't even want to repeat here, and also belongs to this particular religion, but he hasn't read all the books. He needs to read the Hadiths. He needs to read the Hadiths, because any African American, anybody who's part African or would not belong to that religion. You need to read the Hadiths. You need to know the truth. I'll put a link in the description of a video that everyone should see. And in this particular video, it has photographs, not just references and where you can find the reference, but actually photographs of these particular verses and chapters in the video. So the hypocrisy that these women would be upset at Donald Trump, yet they're following a woman as their leader, and the other women are following a leader from the same religion, who the religion itself says that a woman only has half the intelligence of a man. She's deficient in the mind. That you should never have, and this is really the punchline right here, that the leader of that religion said that a country can never be successful if it has a woman as its ruler. And these women are in the streets because Hillary lost the election. They're all protesting. They hate Donald Trump. But the woman who's screaming and yelling in the pulpit, screaming and yelling, represents this particular belief system. It's actually it's a political ideology is what it really is. And then the rest of them follow Louis Farrakhan. Same political ideology. And the interesting thing is that, of course, they ignore the whole female genital mutilation part too. And Linda Sarsour has got white skin. And the person that they all hate is Ayaan Hirsi Ali from Somalia, extremely dark-skinned, a victim of female genital mutilation, and Linda Sarsour said of her that she should have her vagina cut off. Well, she has had her vagina cut off. She's going around the world telling people about this, trying to stop it, trying to warn people, and she's blacklisted, literally blacklisted. But the person that the women's movement has as their leader are people that are for this particular thing and for all these other teachings that I just mentioned. So if you've got a movement like this, you've got a party that is so crazy that they are paying people to riot, they're paying Antifa to riot, and Antifa doesn't know. They're for the hammer and sickle, they're for Stalin, but they don't know that Stalin wrote Mussolini, a fascist, a note saying, hey, you've got it right. Everything that I'm trying to implement here in Russia, you've got it right. That they don't know, they're anti-fascist. They don't know that their guy, their hero, actually admired Mussolini. And then, of course, Hitler was a little different version than what Mussolini had, because Mussolini didn't persecute the Jews, but Hitler did, because Hitler said there was something going on. The history of Germany, the German people, or something happened there with the Jews, and he decided he didn't like the Jews. His version was a little different, but it was nonetheless a socialist party. Socialism is when government controls the means of production. It controls all businesses, all schools, all the media, everything you see and hear. That's why our media has been taken over. We found that out with WikiLeaks, that the hosts of the newscasts would send what they wrote about Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton to Hillary Clinton's campaign, and Hillary Clinton was editing it, or her people, her staff were editing it and sending it back. So literally, the media are mouthpieces for the Democrat Party. Essentially, that's what it is. And that's what you get in a socialist nation. Pravda. The Soviet newspaper was called Pravda, which means truth, but it was only propaganda that the government, the Soviet Socialist Republic, put out. And that's what and socialism controls not only all of this, but also your personal life. Everything you think, do, and say, and even what you eat, and even if you eat. They control absolutely everything. And somehow the people that have latched onto this are the people who want to be free love, free sex, any kind of drug available that they want. They want to live this free life. They want to be themselves. They want to be their own gender. They want all this freedom, but they're grasping on to socialism, which controls everything. Same thing, the description for fascism and socialism is the exact same thing. And they're asking for it, and they're begging for it, yet they want all this freedom. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having freedom. That's what I want. We all want freedom. But if you want freedom, you can't grasp onto this ideology. So Ocasio-Cortez, if she is an actress, if she in fact is an actress, I don't doubt it at all, because they're orchestrating absolutely everything. Once you got this crazy Blasey coming up, and clearly any woman who's really had been sexually assaulted even once in her life, and this person has a PhD, give me a break. That's clearly an actress. She couldn't even get her facts straight, and she stood there, and as she tore apart a guy who was a flippin' Boy Scout. A Boy Scout's a boy. You know, I don't trust Boy Scouts anymore either, because they say that those leaders, you know, the leaders of those scout organizations, you know, they're in league with the priests, for God's sakes. Well, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them. But that's hushed up. Something that's happening is hushed up. That she got up there and destroyed his life. They're orchestrating everything, but that's what happens in socialism. I'm not surprised that any of them. It's all, Jimmy Kimmel, who also appeared in blackface, and so did Ted Danson. And Jimmy Fallon, didn't Jimmy Fallon do it too? They all appeared in blackface. Interesting, nobody's talking about that. Chuck Schumer gives him his lines every night. He's a mouthpiece for the Democrat Party. You think you're turning into late night comedy? No, you're listening. This is a mouthpiece for the Democrat Party. He used to be funny. Jimmy Kimmel used to actually be funny. I don't agree with the blackface at all whatsoever, or the skit, but other things he did were actually pretty funny. I never watched The Man Show. I caught a couple of skits here and there, and yes, those were funny. But now you turn into late night, everything is orchestrated. Everything is a script. What's his name? Colbert. He has 97 writers. 97 writers. Trevor Noah only has 27 writers. You think these people are really funny? They're just all actors. They're saying whatever they're given. These aren't really funny people. They're given a script by a party that's completely orchestrated to turn this country into the new Soviet Union. And they're going to destroy us without a shot. They're going to take us down without a shot. But this goes all the way back to FDR. FDR brought it in. FDR admired fascism. FDR had an open member of the KKK on the Supreme Court. FDR, to get the New Deal signed, let Jim Crow South lynch freed slaves, or the descendants of free slaves, to get them to sign onto the New Deal. FDR, you see, socialism. This is how it started. Here's the real truth about socialism, and why the American people latched onto it. It began in the Depression. The Depression didn't need to go on as long as it did. What happened was that FDR extended it, let it go on and on and on, and people gave up on capitalism. They believed that capitalism failed. But it's because FDR was the socialist fascist, the socialist, that nobody realized that he was. He let it go on. And then he had the New Deal, which gave jobs to the people, but it was the government giving you the jobs. So the people became dependent on the government. And other people, the people committed suicide. The Depression was a depression. They jumped out off the top of buildings. It was so horrific. Yet he kept it going on and on and on. And on his desk, and in fact, I have a relative that belonged to the Peace Corps, and he also was the head of a college. He's extremely, real intellect. A Democrat, dyed-in-the-wool Democrat, loves John F. Kennedy. Interesting. He even said, I'm not getting this from conservative sources, he even said that FDR had on his desk that Japan was going to bomb Pearl Harbor. And he let it happen. He just let it happen. The reason why he let it happen was he said to get elected to all the mothers, not one American son's blood will be shed on foreign soil. He assured them that this would not happen, but to get us into war. And he wanted to get us into war. What happened when you're in war? You're dependent on the government. Women left home and went to work. The family started to break up. That's the beginning of when the family broke up, is that women left home. And women used to be, the child was sick, or the child came home from school sick. She was there. She was there. And that's when families were together. And the father earned enough money to take care of the family. But the women left home and went to work. And that's when the family started to break up. And he made people dependent on the government. their poor African Americans descended of slaves got jobs from the government, and they left the Republican Party, the party of abolition that freed them from slavery, and then joined, this happened in the 30s, they joined the Democrat Party, the party of slavery, the party of slave owners, slave traders, Jim Crow South, all that gosh darn racism. That's when they started to leave, is back then. That's when this whole socialism thing happened, because you've got a war going on. And when you have war, you're dependent on the government to save the world, right? It was when the Americans finally entered the war at the end, that went in there and we literally saved the world, the government. That makes us dependent on the government to not just save our jobs, our lives, but the lives of the world. And it was orchestrated. We know this now, but this was all orchestrated. And Hollywood got in on the game. And Hollywood started slipping in communist socialist ideas into all the movies. This started back in the 1930s because the politicians were hand in hand with Hollywood. The politicians became celebrities themselves. It wasn't that the politicians went out and worked for the people, worked for the good of America. They became celebrities. To wit, whatchamacallit, Obama. Who was he? Where did he come from? He became the Messiah. He was God. He was our dear leader. And we have Trump, who was a celebrity, never was a politician, and seems to be the only guy who really cares about America. But that's when it started. It started a long time ago. And this particular party, we know that this whole Russia thing is a lie. We know that's come out now, that whole thing is failing, that the Mueller probe is going to end, yet we are being told that they're going to look through all his business dealings, and the Attorney General of Manhattan is going to go after him and is going to get him on something. They're going to look through everything he's ever done and get him on. So they're going to put that man in jail, the guy who's trying to save this country. And all our money is being wasted in all these probes. And all the attention of the Democrats, it's not on saving the country or preventing 22 suicides by our soldiers a day who are being neglected. And we are the ones who it's the government who sent them off to war, and they come back broken and they're committing suicide. So they're not fixing that problem. They're not fixing the problem at the border, which is right now is starting to be recognized by the New York Times. The problem at the border, which is wrong, and it isn't fair. It isn't fair for all the people in this country who are out of work, who are starving, who are poor, who need help. Come over the border and you get everything is paid for 100%, plus you can work under the table, because the Democrats and Republicans want a permanent slave class. So you're ignoring the destruction of the African American family and the fact that part of the disruption was that they did funnel drugs into the African American community to destroy them and destroy their intelligence, and to make them feel helpless and dependent on the government. Because it's Johnson, who used the blank word all the time, even after he signed civil rights. He used the blank word, and it's come out that he was also a member of the KKK. They did this to break a people and keep them dependent on the government also. So why wouldn't African Americans vote for the Democrat Party? Because they're broken. Democrats broke them, and they're broken. And then now they need that party to survive. But it was carefully orchestrated. It's no surprise what's going on now. It's no surprise that Ocasio-Cortez is saying lines. She's saying the line, she actually sounds like my ex, because they're both imbeciles. But he can sometimes sound like he's very smart and he knows a lot of stuff. But he'll say things like, I remember him watching the television and he said something basically against what they were saying on TV, the news. I forget what it is, but then all of a sudden he got scared and said, we still have free speech in this country. Oh, you're the one who's trying to take down free speech, and you're afraid of what you just said. You're afraid that you're being heard by someone, some microphone. The NSA is listening to you, even though your cell phone isn't. Oh, your cell phone, you have your cell phone on you at all times. But if you had the communist Russia that you want, you wouldn't even have a cell phone. It wouldn't even be invented. That could only be invented under capitalism. It was actually invented in Israel, by the way. That's how dumb they are. That they still think they're going to have the freedom and the prosperous world and the high technology that we have. It's still going to be there when Ocasio-Cortez's dream, well, it's not really her dream, it's the socialists, it's the people behind her that want to turn this country into a bunch of cement row houses like they did in the U.S.S.R. and make us completely, we're just going to be drones, we're going to be soldiers, we're going to be dressed in gray. They're going to destroy everything, yet these people think that America is so free, we'll still be able to protest and not get shot. They'll still be able to have freedom of speech. They will still have a prosperous world, and people will get paid for doing nothing. This strange utopia they think is going to exist. After socialism comes in, because they don't know what socialism is. They don't know it. They will be under complete control. They will not be able to copulate or have children if they want, because the government will tell you. So it's no surprise to me that AOC is just, as far as I'm concerned, they're all actors. All of them on that side of the aisle are actors. The Republicans are a bunch of do-nothing liars who also want a permanent underclass because they can get their gardener and their housekeeper. They can pay them very cheaply, you know, not like you pay an American citizen. You can pay them very cheaply. So they want to keep importing people. That's also a party that has been corrupted. But they're all actors. They're all liars. And we think when we get somebody into office, you voted a Republican in. Now you're going to see somebody who cares about America. Now you're going to see real change. Things are going to come back to normal. Things are going to make more sense now. And guess what? They vote the opposite than what you think they're going to vote. They're all actors. They're all actors. Isn't that Ocasio-Cortez is going to go away? I heard someone say that on YouTube. Oh, she's just going to disappear. Well, another one's going to pop up if she disappears. She will never completely disappear. But she is the perfect candidate, isn't she? Just like Obama was the perfect candidate. The Democrats wanted to be the ones who elected, put up, nominated the first African-American president, not a descendant of slaves and half white, and looked really nice and had a beautiful family that dressed all nice, and everything that came out of his mouth was scripted, completely scripted. He's an actor as well. There you go, there's your actor. But now we need a woman to break that glass ceiling, and what better than a woman who is not completely white? We really don't know. I'd like to know her genealogy. But if she's got a lot of Spanish in her, the DNA, if you look at a map of the DNA of Spain up to the very white countries, it's the same DNA, same genetic makeup as the people in Britain and into Germany. Spain. So if she's got a lot of Spanish in her, means she's got a lot of white in her. So, and we know that she is the daughter of a self-made architect. Her father wouldn't have made the money that he made or be the head of his architect firm. And she wouldn't have been living in an extremely wealthy neighborhood. And that somehow, for some reason, after the father died, they weren't able to keep up payments on the house, which makes no sense why they didn't just sell the house, because there were no more children. Everybody was grown up, and the mother could have just sold the house and moved into a smaller place, but she didn't. Maybe that's all a lie. Maybe it was something that Ocasio-Cortez says, just to say, oh, I know what poverty. No, you didn't. You didn't grow up in poverty. Your father died when you were an adult. So the rest of your family, everybody was an adult at that time. The house could be sold and you could move somewhere else. That was baloney. You don't know what suffering is. You don't know. But this is a warning video. They're all actors. They're all scripted. She would be the perfect thing as the next president, because she would be the woman that's not white to break that glass ceiling. And the Democrats will put up the first non-white woman as president, not the first white woman, just like Hillary. They realized they made a big mistake. And you notice, the funny thing is, you notice that Hillary, nobody wants Hillary anymore. They don't want her to run. So all this taking down Trump and destroying Trump and the women in the streets because a woman didn't win, they're all protesting and everybody's crazy and upset. Nobody wants Hillary anymore. They don't want her. So it wasn't about getting Hillary in office that they're trying to destroy Trump. And if you're so blind that you can't see that this is a ruse, that the Russia collusion thing is a hoax, everybody knows it, and now they're going after him for anything, which means they just are angry at him for winning the election, for running against the Democrat Party. Who is it that he really beat? Since you don't want Hillary, who is it that he really beat? Obama's third term. He beat socialism from moving forward as fast as they wanted to move forward. That's who he beat. That's who they're angry at, because they must destroy him for what he's done. And everyone wants to be the hero that takes him down. It's like the Attorney General in Manhattan. She's going to be the hero. If they can't find anything else in his business dealings, Congress, they can't find anything, she's going to find something. And since it's a state thing and not federal, he can't pardon himself. He will go to jail if they find something. But he was a celebrity that everybody in Hollywood loved. Everyone loved. There's a lot of African American people who were friends with him. And all of a sudden, he's a racist. We know that's not true. So how can you stay on this bandwagon that Trump is crazy or has done anything wrong? He hasn't done anything wrong. The election wasn't manipulated. You're just angry that he won. And he didn't stop. He slowed the march of socialism. That's all he did, was slow it. Because you've got that border open and it's going to happen. And Texas is going to change in 5 years. Because the people will come of age within 5 years, enough of them that will change that. And people are leaving the Democrat states because the taxes are so high, like California and New York, because the taxes are so high. And they're going into the red states and turning them blue, instead of saying, hey, you don't like the way the Democrats run things, you don't like those high taxes, why are you voting Democrat? Why are you bringing that vote here? If you don't like it, you know what's going to happen? Every state in the union, it's going to be that way. The presidency, the country is going to change. It's going to change into the state that you left, the state that you abandoned. So it's crazy. I don't know why you're doing it. And if you can't see that this is all orchestrated and this is a lie, everything out of Obama's mouth was scripted. Everything out of Ocasio-Cortez's mouth is scripted. She's saying all the perfect lines that a socialist would say. But she's also an imbecile. She still is an imbecile. She doesn't deliver it as smooth as Obama did. But he had the lines right in front of his face. He was reading them. And I think she's just trying to remember them. I think that's what is going on. So wake up. Wake up. Because if you want freedom and free speech and prosperity, or a nation that will help people who are in need, who actually do need amnesty, are not coming here and just saying it, but actually do need it, you're going to lose that country. You're going to lose that. Everybody's going to be poor. Nobody's going to get help. The government, whether you do good or bad, if you're a good communist or you're not a good communist, no matter how good you are as a communist, the government is going to keep you as a prisoner. You're going to be treated as if you're a bad communist. Everyone will be treated equally, that's right. Everyone will suffer, and everyone will be made an example of. That's what they do in communist countries. That's what they do. Wake up, people. Good night, everyone. Thank you for listening to me. Bye-bye.